Hi, hello. It's our last episode before Halloween. But the only spooky things on our agenda are Mitch McConnell's hand and Jeffrey Toobin's dick. Also, it's our last episode before the election ends, and we've got two stories that shouldn't be political, but are. When Stef tells you all about Chandra Levy, and I tell you all about Terri Schiavo. Stay tuned. And vote!
What up, fam? It's good, Feels good, right? Yeah, I know it do. And without further ado, we broadcasting live from CA to NY.
I wrote down Mitch McConnell's hands.
Yo!
What's happening there?
Mitch McConnell is rotting from the inside.
Man,
That's what happens.
Doesn't it look like isn't that a condition, like where your shit falls off?
Gangrene?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I think he's taking blood thinners. So it's like, every time he fucking hits his hand against something, it's a bruise.
Yeah, I mean, they look awful.
It looks bad, but that's what
Looks
that
real
motherfucker gets.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Wear some gloves, dude.
Well, he's been trying to walk around with his hand in his pocket like he's a GQ model, but my dude.
Did you see that meme that I can't get out of my head that he looks like the monster from Guillermo del...
Pan's Labyrinth?
Yes,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah. Yeah, he does look like that.
Yeah, like too much.
Like, seriously, I have no problem making fun of this motherfucker's appearance because he's just one of the most horrible human beings to have ever walked the earth.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And his hand's about to fall off.
That shit's gonna fall off.
Just in time for Halloween. Some spooky shit.
Honestly, if his hand falls off for Halloween, I'll respect it.
The timing.
Might be the first thing I'd like that he's ever done.
Yeah, but anyway, so let's talk about Jeff.
Oh God, Jeffrey Toobin, who
is like so successful.
Yes, I'm not going to do it anytime soon because it's just going to take so much work. But O.J. Simpson,
right? It's funny. Every time I see O.J. Simpson on our list, I just keep strolling.
Yep.
I'm like, nope. I need an MBA to fucking.
Well, I was really into Jeff Toobin for a while because I read his book, The Run of His Life, which is what the American Crime Story is based off of.
Yeah.
So this is just like one of our premier investigative journalists.
Like, oh man.
Currently a contributor for CNN.
Right.
I think he was on a call with, was it the New Yorker or was it New York Magazine?
Times? New York Magazine, maybe? Yeah.
Well, on a call this week doing an election simulation for election night with his colleagues. Again, just like the upper echelon of like
the journalism.
The most fancy journalists on earth. And he took his little dick out and started touching on it.
I can't believe it. Like
on the Zoom and everybody saw it.
That's so wild. How, dude?
He couldn't wait.
I mean, and then I actually had dinner with my cousin yesterday, and she's a lawyer too, and she was like, did he think it was over? And I was like, I wonder, like, I don't know why. And she was like, even that though, like immediately after a meeting, like it's kind of weird.
No, they were taking a break. So it was like, okay, everybody, take a break for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. We'll come back. But like his dick was already out, so he was already touching it on the call.
That's what I'm saying. Like that just don't make sense. This just don't make sense whatsoever.
He's just
my dude.
Horny.
No, nobody's that horny. That's you're fucking wild. I saw a bunch of memes that are like, "What are you guys talking about at your Zoom meeting?" Like,
yo,
I mean, that shit don't turn me on.
I'll tell you one thing: when he publishes the stroke of his life, I'm gonna buy that shit and read it.
Oh, man.
But you know what's disturbing to me? That men on the internet, just like Captain Sabaho, leapt to his defense
Why? Under what circumstances is this appropriate?
They're like, the lines have been blurred. We're working from home now. This could have happened to anyone. No, it could absolutely the fuck not.
No. What's wrong with you guys?
Yo,
oh my God. Go to fucking therapy.
Yes. You can't keep it in your fucking pants for 5 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even the idea like that, like immediately after a meeting or maybe like immediately during a break, like you gotta jack off. Like, I think, no, you gotta go to therapy. You gotta get that shit figured out.
Right.
No.
Or we're gonna have to get you oven mitts like we got Louis C.K.
No, that makes me think of the Rugrats. Do you remember when they all get chicken pox and they put oven mitts on all of them? Chucky's all fucked up. That's Jeffrey Toobin.
Or remember, like, I used to bite my nails and my mom used to threaten that she was gonna put chile on my nails. I was like, yes, bring it on, bitch. I fucking love chile. We gotta put chile on his fucking hands so he can't touch his little wiener anymore.
Oh my God. That shit was crazy. That was a wild ride. Because at first it was just like, oh, he took it out. And then it was like, no, he was touching it.
Because at first I thought like, oh, was he not wearing pants? You know, like.
Right, like an accident because he's older.
And just like, the lines have been blurred about like what's appropriate to wear at home while you're working from home. So I was like, was he not wearing pants? Was he like, whatever?
That would be a better argument for that.
Right.
Yeah, but for that argument.
But then
a better example for that argument.
But then it came out that he was touching it. He was stroking that shit.
That's so weird, dude. So weird.
So he immediately got suspended from everything and everywhere.
I mean, good luck to you. Mm-hmm. What a way to fucking ruin a like successful,
stellar career,
highly regarded career. Like. Damn, you could have done something more embarrassing, honestly.
Right. But what if he gets off on maybe one of his coworkers or something? You know what I mean? Like, what if that's what it was? Like, oh, like finally I can touch myself while this bitch is talking or some shit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, it's scary. It's so disgusting. Like, just the idea of this is so weird to me. We're gonna get some angry listener like, well, I touch myself at work. Okay, bro.
Unless you work as a touching yourself artist, then
right,
that is the only
some
appropriate
sort of sex work. Yeah.
You think Ryan Seacrest touches himself while he's on the radio? No one's ever gonna see him. But
it shouldn't be like really like in or on your body at work. Like, that is just like, you shouldn't be picking your nose. Don't be picking your nose. Don't be sticking your finger in your fucking ears. It's just a general etiquette from your girl Stef.
Oh my God.
Don't be putting your fingers in your mouth. Don't, you know?
Oh God. Yeah.
Also what happened this week is that Chris Pratt was the subject of the stupidest like idea. I don't know, like what people are, I guess, are assuming is like internet bullying, but which I think is not internet bullying.
It's not.
Yeah, so he was basically part of a meme. It was like 4 Chris's: Chris Evans, Chris Pratt, Chris. Who else was it? I don't know. 2 other fucking Chris's. I know it wasn't
my babe, Chris O'Donnell.
No. Or Chris Evans. This is the only other Chris I remember because he's the only other one I like.
The one from Wonder Woman. Which one is that one?
Oh, I don't know.
Chris Pine,
and then Chris Christie.
One gotta go.
And, the premise of this meme was one has to go. Mm-hmm. Well, there was no other option. Chris Pratt had to go.
Yeah, he gotta go. Let's ask Anna Faris what she thinks. Which one gotta go?
Then all the fucking Avengers came together. Like to back him up, I guess, because this was bullying. Like, relax.
First of all, if you're on Twitter, they fucking do this every single day, and it's not a thing. They're like, which one of these candies gotta go? Snickers, Milky Way, Reese's Pieces, or Three Musketeers. Three Musketeers doesn't get all the Avengers don't assemble to say, how dare you bully Three Musketeers.
There was one going viral like literally later in the week that was like, one of these Thanksgiving dishes has to go. It was like yams, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, and fucking cornbread.
Oh, I know which one you say.
Cornbread didn't fucking come for Yams and be like, hey, my boy Yams is good. Although I did see people arguing about it. And then the show was just funny. Because a lot of people said yams.
What?
And they were like, if your family doesn't know how to make yams, just tell us. And I was dying. I was like, fuck. I love Twitter.
And it's always like that. It's always like a fun little argument. But these motherfuckers had to take it so goddamn seriously.
I know. Robert Downey Jr. First of all, Robert Downey Jr., shut the fuck
down.
up. Yeah, we don't need fucking reputation advice from you, bro. Rosario Dawson, his castmate in the... Fuck, what is that movie they're in? Challengers of the Galaxy.
Rosario Dawson is in...
Is it not Rosario Dawson? This is Schmaces.
Oh, Zoe Saldana.
Zoe Saldana, sorry. And I actually confuse them often, which makes me sad.
Are they both Puerto Rican?
I don't know. Which one is Puerto Rican? I mean, they're both Latina.
I think they're both Puerto Rican.
Okay.
But one sucks and one doesn't. And one is in a fake relationship and one isn't.
That's all there is to say about that. I mean, I thought what I said was bad, but never mind. Yeah, so that was stupid.
Chris Pratt sucks. He just
Chris
does.
Pratt, I mean, yeah, especially compared to Captain America and shit.
Yeah, show us your dick, Chris Pratt, and then maybe we'll reconsider.
Chris Pratt in like early Chris Pratt, early
Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I mean, he would have not had to have gone.
Really? Still compared to the same Chris's?
Yeah, because who's that Wonder Woman Chris? Fuck that guy.
Chris Pine?
Yeah, who's he? I would have been like, oh, I'd rather keep Chris Pratt. Because
Yeah, I don't know. I like Chris Pine. He seems like chill.
You didn't even know his name until yesterday, until right now.
Chris Pine? Yeah, but every time I see paparazzi shots of him, he's always doing something cool. He's always like buying books.
Oh, it was Chris Evans, Chris Pine, Chris Pratt, and Chris, God damn it, Hemsworth.
Oh. Wait, is Chris Hemsworth Miley Cyrus?
No.
Oh, he
He's
could
the
go.
Older one.
That's the one I would have said.
He's not Thor, right?
Thor.
He's in Thor?
Thor.
This is so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's Thor.
He's
actually,
Thor.
right.
Yeah. If you would have asked me with early Chris Pratt, I would have said Thor could go because I don't really care about him.
Yeah, I'd be fine with Thor, or honestly, I'm fine with all these Chris's having to go.
All of them have to show us their dicks.
Except for Chris Evans.
Who already showed us his dick. So
Kill
you can
Hemsworth, Pine, and Pratt.
I saw that somebody was saying we need to replace Pratt with Chris Messina.
Oh, okay. Sure.
He's
annoying to me.
Is it because of Julie and Julia?
No, but also that. Because actually, I hate all of the Julie part. Wait, Julia. Yeah, all the Julie parts of that movie.
I kind of was ambivalent towards him, but then he recently went like silvery blonde for some movie. And I was like, damn, you looking kind of good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's fine. He's really short.
Yeah, he seems like Jennifer Aniston's ex.
Oh, no. Justin Theroux?
Yeah. Yeah, they seem like they're the same height.
Oh, same height? Sure.
So also speaking of in other dick-touching news, Rudy Giuliani.
Oh, my God.
A personal attorney to the president, former America's mayor, got caught red-handed with his hand down his pants in the new Borat movie film.
Remember I showed you that he was like Times Person of the Year 2001?
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. How the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
We were just talking about how he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad.
I want some part of his body to fall off too. His
head.
He's trying to sell this bogus Hunter Biden story that the Russians planted. That allegedly Hunter Biden took his laptop into some like laptop repair person, and then the laptop repair person looked inside and saw all these emails that implicated Joe Biden in like a conspiracy to extort money from Ukraine or some shit. Like,
What?
it's a fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, there Giuliani
Also, laptop repair shop. What are you talking about? What?
and also
This
Hunter
is-
Biden lives in LA, and the laptop repair shop is like
The Apple store?
it's like in Virginia or something, and it's like and yeah, he's trying to get the FBI to drop a last minute interference before the election to say like, we found these emails. And
We gotta make a retirement age for these guys.
Oh,
like,
seriously.
That's, fuck, man. Like, no, this is enough.
well, the president brought it up in the debate last night. He was like, why aren't you guys talking about the laptop from hell?
Oh, God.
11 more days as of today, guys.
Did you see
11 more
that?
days.
The story of that guy, Steve Bing? I think we never talked about when he committed suicide, which
Who dat?
he's not like really famous. He's more like linked to famous people. He was Elizabeth Hurley's ex-husband.
Oh.
But he was like a movie financier and like producer. And then he committed suicide like a few weeks or months ago. And we had never talked about it, but I guess they just like figured out his estate. And when he was 18 years old, had inherited $600 million.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
And like when he committed suicide, he only had 300,000
Wow.
to his name, which might explain part of why he
No,
did it.
you would spend the last 300, right?
I don't know.
Right? Or no, maybe you.
Or you don't need, or you think that's so little. You're like, what am I going to do with this?
Or like, if you have people that you need to leave money to, you're like, well,
Here's something at
yeah.
least.
But
And he had kids.
did you see that Jason Derulo just hit #1 this week or something
On what?
on the billboards because he has a song with BTS, and BTS has like,
Yeah, they're huge.
I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so he hit #1, and then he bought everybody a shot at
Catch LA.
At Catch, yeah.
And
So
it was like $100,000.
yeah, so it's like if I was like, oh shit, I only have $300,000 left, I'm gonna kill myself. Like I would do something like that. Like
I guess. What if it comes out for more than 300,000 and then your shit gets rejected? That's real embarrassing. Then you're really gonna kill yourself. That's fucked up. That's a fucked up joke.
And did you see that Trump's Twitter got hacked?
No. What were they saying? Nice stuff or what? How did we know?
I didn't even catch what they were saying, but because they obviously caught it like pretty quickly, but they didn't hack it. They guessed the password.
Oh my God.
You want to know what it was? What his
What
password was?
Big dick energy.
No, I'm sure you could guess. If I give you 10 tries, you could guess it. But it's MAGA 2020 exclamation point.
Shut up. Oh my God.
So these dudes just fucking guessed it and then just started tweeting.
That's hilarious. It's not even like high level hackers, it's just some fucking kids.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
What else? Another dick touching. In other dick touching news.
Jesus.
Did you see the official Twitter account of Fort Bragg started sexting someone on their, like, it was whoever was running the account didn't realize that they were still tweeting from the official Fort Bragg account instead of their account, and they were like tweeting at some sex workers.
Oh man. What's wrong with these people?
Men.
I know, man. Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? They're just fucking like barbarians. Like,
Yeah.
they're so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And like everything in the world makes it like appropriate for them to be like overly sexual and kind of like
sure.
applauds it. So
yeah.
it just like vindicates this kind of like disgusting fucking behavior. It's
Right.
like, dude, no.
Yeah.
Do that shit, you know, in the privacy of wherever, like privately.
Yeah, like literally, we like there was a whole case study on Jeannie the feral child for touching herself. Like
I
y'all
know.
are feral. Y'all motherfuckers are feral.
Like, I remember in law school, I took a women in the law class, and our professor was like super against Hooters restaurant.
Oh really? Oh, did
'Cause
you know Darcy and Stacey used to work at Hooters?
No,
I just
really?
saw a
That's-
picture of them. They look so cute.
I bet, yeah. And she was like she fucking hated it. She's like, would always talk about how it's just like, you know, like it's just like, how is this even like a fucking restaurant that exists?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
just like turn like your waitress has to have huge tits for you to eat these chicken wings. Like what? How is this a premise that became a fucking franchise?
Right. And a casino and an airline and shit.
I know. I forgot there's a Hooters casino.
I don't think it exists anymore.
I hope not.
We need to have like a male equivalent to it though, like where we can go and see guys in like short shorts.
But women aren't like that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think it would. I mean, maybe you could open like one, but is it going to become this are we going to have a franchise, a hotel?
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
who goes to the Hooter Hotel?
You know, it used to be called something else, and then I stayed there one time before it was the Hooters Hotel. This is like gotta be. I must have been like 14 years old or something. I want to say it was like $20 a night to stay there.
Yeah, like it's so cheap. So
yeah,
and on Strip, basically, right?
It was like
slightly off.
Slightly off. Yeah, you could walk to the Strip in like 2 seconds.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. It was really shitty though, like disgusting.
Did it have a casino actually?
Yeah,
or was
it did
it just
have
a
casino.
Hotel? Okay. Interesting. And everything was boob shaped. The dice was just a pair of tits. There's only 2 numbers on this die. How many nipples you get?
But they're smooth though, so like.
So it's really hard. This is why the casino closed down.
They didn't think that shit through.
I'm trying to think. What would I like? I mean, like the premise of like a restaurant with like men in short shorts that like I would be like, how fucking stupid. But like just like fine, like model.
Yeah.
Men like dressed well.
Mm-hmm. Like, they don't even have to be naked. They just...
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't want to see a guy in short shorts. Like
right.
Put on some fucking trousers and a nice button up. Like you know, yeah, like that sounds better. Like that might function actually. We out here trying to function.
Or did we talk about that restaurant where it was like you had to where it's called like Breakfast Bitch or something?
No.
Well, it's in Miami and it's called Breakfast Bitch, and its whole premise is that everybody calls each other bitch. So like the waitress will come up to you and be like, "What's up, bitch? What do you want for breakfast, bitch?" Like,
yeah, I've seen that going viral. I saw them calling a little kid a bitch.
Oh my god.
They're like, "Come on, bitch."
That's so funny. Well, anyway, that's adorable to me. Like that's so cute. But of course, a man had to fucking ruin it within 5 seconds of them opening. Like some garbage monster came over and was like,
garbage monster,
and was like, you know, and bitch, you better bring me my motherfucking Bloody Mary, bitch. And then was like, and then when she was like, excuse me, like he was like, you heard me, bitch. Do I need to say it again? Bitch,
oh my god!
And was just getting like real fucking aggressive and disgusting. And then like the manager had to come over, and then he like he made a scene. He like threw the drinks off of his table. And it's like, of course we can't have nice things. We can't do this like cute little thing because y'all are gonna take it too far.
There's gonna be somebody.
Yeah.
I just saw this meme that made me laugh and it was like, let me find it. I saved it. Women and men should get equal pay. Men. So that means I could kick you in the stomach and body slam you on the concrete and fart in your face since we equal now?
Yeah.
Like,
that's
there's always
true.
Be some trash man like that.
Yeah.
Well, like, why does that bother you? If that bothers you, you got problems. Mm-hmm. What's up, everyone? This is the Drama Club. This is the podcast about when 7 people get into a house and stop acting polite and start getting real. Welcome to the Drama Club. No, just kidding. This is a podcast about celebrity scandals, gossip, drama, pop culture,
politics,
sport. Oh, go Dodgers.
Ooh, go Dodgers. I think they heard us talking shit about them last week, so.
I know. They really
Let's talk shit again, about them again today.
Yeah, fucking Cody Bellinger. Fuck you. I'm just kidding. That seems so mean.
Fuck you, Kike Hernandez.
What a dope name.
That's my uncle's name.
Kike? His nickname?
Almost, because his name is Enrico, so his nickname is
wow.
Kiko.
That's cool. All right.
Wait, introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry. My name's Stephanie. My bad.
My name is May. Welcome.
Welcome. It's a 2-part episode this week, and I'm up first because you were up last time.
Hey.
I'm gonna do Chandra Levy.
Okay. One of the great heads of hair of a regular person.
Literally right before this, I was like, look up how you pronounce her last name. Is
Levy?
it Levy or Levy?
I would say Levy. I've heard Levy since it happened.
All right, I'll say Levy then. All right, so I got this from an article in the Washington Post called "Who Killed Chandra Levy?" Podcast episode, You're Wrong About episode on Chandra's disappearance, and also this really great Reddit thread by username Foxcat007. All right, Chandra was born in Cleveland, but she grew up in Modesto, which is a small town in Northern California.
Shout out to Modesto.
Also where Scott Peterson murdered his wife.
Yeah, I know.
Trips me out.
And also where one of my dad's patients has a taco truck, a burrito and taco truck. And sometimes when they come down, they bring like 15 burritos for us.
That's tight. I mean, I imagine if you have a taco truck, you got a burrito truck, right? Like,
true. Except for I went to a taco truck last Friday that did not have burritos.
I mean, just wrap that shit up. Burritos.
Just put like all the tortillas together like that. Stitch that shit together.
I'm going to show you guys how to double your menu real quick. So her family was conservative Jewish. Her dad was a surgeon. They were upper middle class, hella granola, vegetarian and shit. She was super athletic growing up and lived an active lifestyle. She went to San Francisco State University and then after college worked for the LA Mayor Richard Riordan. And then enrolled at USC for a master's degree in public administration.
Damn.
Yeah, she's doing things.
She's tight.
Yeah. In 2000, during her last semester at USC, she got a paid internship with the Federal Bureau of Prisons in DC. Mm-hmm. So she moved over there. She was assigned to the Public Affairs Division and she was like killing it, doing really good. Mm-hmm. Living by herself in DuPont Circle, which is pretty trendy area of DC. Yeah. And then while she was out there, she met this dude, Representative Gary Condit.
I don't know. This is a bad idea.
So basically, she was like walking in the building where the House of Representatives are with her homegirl one day. Mm-hmm. And Chandra's like, oh, I want to meet my House rep. And so it happens to be Gary Condit. She goes to his office. Yeah. And she didn't really think that she would meet him, but he was there and he comes out and he's like, oh, I want to introduce myself to my constituents.
Well, I get that. Like if we were in there, we'd be like, oh shit, like who's our representative? Let's go see, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But then Gary, like he straight up takes her and her homegirl on a little private tour around the building.
My dude, don't you got work to do?
Right?
Aren't you too busy for this?
Two young 20-year-old girls show up and it's time for like a impromptu 30-minute break. What the fuck?
Tell the president I'll call him back.
Gary Condit. He would definitely take his dick out in Zoom. So Gary was in his early 50s when he met Chandra. He had held his seat for 11 years at that point and had a glowing reputation within his district. Yeah, they really love this fool. He was like cookie cutter. He'd been married for 30 years.
Oh, they love that shit.
His dad was a pastor.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he was like the kind of Democrat that appealed to both parties.
Yeah. Oh, God. He would have been president.
For sure. He took a picture with the two young ladies and then even offered Chandra's homegirl a job.
What? Like on the spot and shit?
Yeah.
Damn.
Chandra became infatuated with him and allegedly the two immediately began an affair. Mm. She began showing up at his office for, quote, career advice. And I guess that's how everything kind of got started. Mm. She seems like she pursued him heavy.
Yeah.
And then she started meeting with him and staying at his apartment in the city several nights a week.
Oh, Pete Campbell vibes.
Because his family's back in Cali. So he's like, has an apartment in the city Monday through Thursday, and Thursday would fly to Cali.
I don't like that.
I actually wrote a la Mad Men vibes, May. That's funny.
Yeah, because he's got a pied à terre. That's where his wife was like, okay, do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, over there though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Gary, obviously, he would have wanted to keep this relationship private, but Chandra was really into him and excited about the whole thing.
How old is she again?
She's probably she's getting her master's, so she's like 23, 24.
24, yeah. But what I don't understand is, sure, okay, you want to fuck around with this like married, powerful dude. I get that. I'm with you. Let's do this shit.
Yeah.
However, you don't delude yourself into thinking, like, getting too excited about it. You know what I mean? Like, this is like as far as that shit's gonna go. He's not gonna leave his wife for you.
This is funny because When Harry Met Sally just got on HBO, so I watched it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and Carrie Fisher's character's like with a married man, remember?
Yep.
And she's always like, he's never gonna leave his wife for me.
Yeah.
And they're like, all her friends are like, he's never gonna leave his wife for me. Like, we know this. Like, yeah. Anyway, so she's excited. I guess she would tell her friends and her mom that she was dating this handsome congressman and that he looked like Harrison Ford, which
Gary Condit.
Girl, please stop, bitch.
That's a reach.
Yeah. She would like brag about the gifts he got her and stuff. Anyway, so her internship then abruptly ended in 2001 because she completed her master's degree, so she didn't qualify academically anymore to have this like paid student internship.
Oh, okay, got it.
So then she was set to return to California for her graduation. But before she left, she met up with one of her guy friends and had dinner with him and told him that Gary was in love with her and that he said he was going to leave his wife to marry her. She even told this guy friend that Gary had told her that he would give up his seat in Congress for her.
Oh, God. Girl, also, you need to be more discreet.
Seriously. She needs better friends.
Yes.
Shortly after that, Chandra disappeared. She missed her flight home. She missed her graduation. Then on May 6, 2001, after 5 days of not being able to reach her, Chandra's dad phoned the DCPD and asked them to do a wellness check at her condo.
Uh-huh.
The police called around to hospitals and then went to her place where they found no indication of foul play. And then on May 7th, Robert, her dad, told the police that she had been involved in an affair with a congressman who he believed to be Gary Condit.
Wow.
Her aunt, who Chandra had also confided in about the affair, also called police to corroborate, and so did that friend that she had that last dinner with. Police
and Linda Tripp, who heard it through the grapevine.
Oh, I laughed too hard, yeah. Police then obtained an official warrant to conduct a formal search of her place. Inside, they found her credit cards, her identification, some dirty dishes, and her cell phone. And it looked like she had been slowly packing for her trip back home because there were also partially packed suitcases. Mm-hmm. Her answering machine was full with messages from family and two from Gary asking where she was and why he hadn't heard from her. Mm. All in all, it was nothing super suspect found in the apartment. Even the fact that her cell phone was left behind. This was 2001. So, I mean, that was like pretty kind of normal back then. Because remember, 2001 cell phones aren't like now. It's just literally.
Right. You can't even text on it, right?
I don't think so. Yeah. No. So police fucked up this case like a lot. Let's just start by that. Okay. But their first mistake happened during the search of her apartment because an inept sergeant just tried to examine Chandra's laptop and inadvertently corrupted all of her internet search history.
What did he... How is that even possible?
What the fuck are you doing? That's what I kept thinking. I was talking to Joel about this story. And I was like, could you imagine being a cop and like seeing a computer? Like, why would you go in there if you don't know what you're doing?
Exactly.
Like, I wouldn't even go in there. I'd be like, May, come look at this. Like, I know I'm going to fuck something up. Like,
but how do you fuck it up even to that extent? Like, if you don't know how to use it and like you open it,
he just went in there and was like, clear history, fucking idiot.
How do I read emails? Is it this thing that says delete all? That's why, like, there's this great Amy Schumer sketch that always makes me think of, like, my mom, because she'll be like, it's a sketch where Amy and her mom are in therapy because her mom keeps asking her help on her computer.
Oh my God.
And, like, that my mom does that to me all the time. And
my dad does that to me all the time.
And I literally, like, I
does
my
it make
temper,
your blood boil?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because then she'll be like, okay, how do I send the email? Do I click this thing that says send email?
How about my dad got mad because he wanted... I'm already mad. He is alleging that his bank account just has, like, I'm just going to say a number for the sake of this story.
Okay.
$2,000 missing.
Okay.
And he's alleging that the bank... Yeah, that the bank somehow did this.
Yeah.
So he asked his bank to send him all of his statements from 2016 to present.
Holy shit.
And
also, they charge you for that past, like, a certain, right?
Okay,
Anyway.
Okay, so they sent it to him in PDF form. So he wanted me to print out every fucking statement for him because he needs to look at it, like, with a highlighter and a pen and shit and, like, a fucking magnifying glass. I don't know. Anyway, so I was like, why can't you just look at the PDF? Like,
yeah.
And I was trying to show him, like, how to highlight and shit.
Right.
And then he got all frustrated, like, on the PDF, you know, and, like, strike through and make, like, comments. He got frustrated and was like, no, you don't like to help me.
Oh, that's what, yep, I've had that fight
It
before.
always leads to, like, this problem. So then,
Yeah.
whatever. So then, cut to, what I ended up doing was, I went to the office and printed out all the shit for him. I was like, I'll just print it at the office because there's too much paper and shit.
And it's expensive.
Fuck yeah. Anyway, so then, like, a few days later, we were at the house and my brother was there. And my dad was like, Victor, come help me on the computer because your sister doesn't like to help me with anything.
Wow.
And then then Victor came back down. I was like, what happened? What did he need help with? Oh, he wanted to, like, get rid of a tab. Like the stupidest shit. Dude, you really can't fall behind, like, at all in terms of, like, computers or technology, because if you fall behind just, like, a little bit, which I think our parents are the generation of our parents were, like, really hesitant with technology and like, then, you know, I mean, that shit didn't go away, which I think maybe they thought it would go away or
I think they thought it was for work. You know, so it's like,
or like students or whatever,
yes.
So they wouldn't need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so, like, they just never, like, stayed up to date, and now it's, like, so fucking far beyond, like, the regular stuff that, like, it's complicated. But really, you can't let yourself fall behind because that shit is changing constantly, and, like, the more you fight it, like, the worse it's gonna get.
You think we're gonna get like that though?
No, because exactly what I'm saying. Like, you just don't fight it, right? Like, you just keep fucking going for it.
Yeah, true.
Okay. Anyways, who knows what the? Oh yeah, that guy. Okay, so IT. It took computer experts a month to reconstruct the data that this fool had corrupted in the search.
What the fuck? Also, how much, like, data could she have on her computer in 2001? You know what I mean? Like, what does she have? Her, like, a calendar?
Yeah, I don't know. What they really wanted to see was what she was, like, searching for on.
Oh yeah, sure. The
date that she left. So on the morning of May 1st, she had searched websites for Amtrak. She Googled Gary's name. She Googled Baskin Robbins. She searched for seats on Southwest Airlines and did some research on travel in France. So it was pretty, like, not, you know, it was, like, normal. Like, she had been talking to her family that she wanted to go to France after she graduated.
She wanted to eat Baskin Robbins.
Like, it was like
she wanted to take an Amtrak train to a Baskin Robbins, eat the Baskin Robbins, and then from there fly off to France.
Yeah, go fuck Gary, then go to France. Yep.
Sounds like a plan.
So she also Googled Rock Creek Park and downloaded a map of the park. So immediately, Gary became suspect number one. This would also later prove to be a huge mistake, although I don't think it was a huge mistake to look into him in the beginning because, you know, you always start, like, closest and then move outward.
Right.
It was kind of easy to point the finger at him, too, because they really had no other leads. Gary had a lot to lose if this affair went public.
Exactly.
His private life would probably have been destroyed, and then his career in Congress would probably end also. Plus, what we did know was that she was super infatuated with him, so it did seem kind of like straight up fatal attraction.
Yeah.
Another mistake is that the police never asked for Chandra's building security tapes.
What?
So, how silly, right, May?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
They could have confirmed what time she left or what she was wearing, or maybe if fucking Gary had walked in or something, you know, like,
yeah.
And the building that she lived in, their protocol was to delete videos after 7 days. So they just didn't get the tapes ever.
Jesus.
2 weeks after her disappearance, Chandra's parents became super disillusioned with the way that the DC police was handling it. So they took matters into their own hands. They hired a PR firm and they went to Congress and TV to tell Chandra's story and about the affair and to help find her. This led to a media fucking frenzy.
Yeah.
It was literally considered the #1 news story. Like every news station was running with this fucking story until 9/11 happened.
Wow. I remember her picture like it was yesterday, you know.
Everywhere.
Yeah. And of course, because it has echoes of Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, you know, the intern, the affair. I think it's
seedy.
Easy. Yeah. It's perfect for TV and for media.
Yeah. After her parents publicly called out Gary for the affair, other women came forward with their own stories about relationships that they had with Gary and the dinners and gifts that he gave them too.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it just got juicier.
Yeah.
By the way, to this day, Gary denies that he ever had an affair with Chandra.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
But investigators matched his semen DNA on her chonis.
Oh.
And for those of you who are not Latinx, chonis means underwears.
Hold on, but these freaks couldn't check the tapes, but they could check her fucking chonies? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm a freak.
We're gonna need to send someone down here to erase all the security footage, but we're gonna need it. Send CSI to check her fucking.
They got some fucking bozo on the computer just deleting shit. Somebody else just looking through her underwear drawer. Shit's wild up in DC.
Yo.
And not to get all 90s on everybody, but also his phone number was number 7 on her speed dial. So this was like a huge thing back then too. Like remember having speed dial?
Yeah, I remember that Seinfeld episode.
Yeah. Gary also denied the hell out of being involved in any way in her disappearance. He told investigators that he had last seen her in April because she was due to go back home to California in early May.
Mm-hmm.
He then came forward with what will be known as the greatest alibi of all time when he produced footage of himself voting on C-SPAN the evening that she disappeared.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean that he didn't like hire somebody or something.
And that's where the story goes.
Yeah.
So around May 1st, when they believed that was the exact time that she had disappeared, he was meeting with Dick Cheney and voting.
Oh.
So then Dick Cheney became kind of like a character witness on this whole thing.
Right.
And the thing with Gary is that he's a fucking politician. His schedule is super airtight. So
yeah,
he didn't really have any holes in his schedule where it was like, meet with Dick Cheney, fucking murder Chandra. Like,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure. This isn't House of Cards. Like,
yeah, it was pretty obvious from the beginning that he most likely would not have committed the murder himself, or like, you know, but it's still obviously, like May said, a possibility that he could have paid someone or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the media still ran with the story that he murdered her because that's just showbiz.
Yeah.
So the police then looks into some other dudes that Chandra was hanging out with, but that didn't lead anywhere because they weren't anyone she was really close with, and no one who really had any motives to kill her. They really didn't have anybody else to look at other than Gary, who was clearly lying about the affair.
Why are you... That's the problem, too. Like,
that's what makes him sketchy, too, is that he's lying about this affair.
Yeah.
But he was kind of not lying, very clearly not lying about like being involved in her disappearance. Like it just didn't make sense, honestly, that he, you know, that he had anything to do with it.
Right.
He even donated money to her parents to aid in the search. So whatever. So anyways, in the media, every news story was about Gary Condit and their affair and how he had this motive to make her disappear because it was going to ruin his career and his life. Plus, her parents are calling him out on every news station in the country, like straight up by name. Chandra's dad said that at the time, he would wake up and there'd be like hundreds of reporters in his front lawn covering this story. And that was all the way up until 9/11 when I said, then everything clicked and like nobody cared about Chandra anymore. No one cared about anything anymore. On May 22nd, 2002, a man walking his dog found a human skull and remains off a trail in Rock Creek Park. So we're like a year out now.
Whoa.
The skeletal remains matched Chandra's dental records. Detectives then found bones, a sports bra, leggings, tennis shoes, all scattered, but nothing seemed to have been buried. This is another way the police fucked up. The police searched this park because it was like one of 5 things that she had Googled the morning that she went missing.
She wasn't at Baskin Robbins. She wasn't in Paris.
Yeah, she wasn't at Amtrak.
Yeah.
She wasn't with Gary.
Right.
So they searched the park, but not the slope where the remains were found. The remains were found only 4 miles from Chandra's apartment.
She went for a run.
Yeah. It was a clear fuck up by the police, and the chief even admitted that it was unacceptable that everything had not been found much sooner.
If they would have had the videos of her in her building,
She
they
would
would
be
have
in
seen
workout clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah. After the autopsy, the police announced that they were opening a homicide investigation. There was evidence that she had been strangled on the bones that they found, but it was really tough. There wasn't like a lot of evidence to pinpoint exactly the cause of death because over a year had passed.
Ugh. And it's outside. It's not buried.
Right.
Yeah.
On May 28th, 2002, Chandra's family laid her remains to rest in Modesto in a public service where over 1,200 people attended. The eulogy was delivered in Hebrew and English.
Oh.
So police then started this homicide investigation, and they started back in Rock Creek Park. And they were led to this serial predator of this park by the name of Ingmar Guandanik. And this name was brought to their attention by a jail informant. Which I don't like that. Jail informants notoriously not trustworthy.
Yeah. They have every reason to lie.
And nothing to lose by lying. Right. On You're Wrong About, I think that he said that something like 35% of wrongful convictions are because of the jail informant.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, like it's like really daunting. Like we shouldn't use that technology. But you know, like lazy
technology.
That's what's up. Yo, I'm that sergeant that deleted all her fucking emails. What does this do? Wah, wah, wah. Man, shut up. We're never gonna get through this fucking episode, dude.
Jailhouse Informant version 2.0 comes out. That shit drops on
If I'm
November.
looking for an informant, should I download this app called Jailhouse Informant? So Ingmar was an undocumented construction worker from El Salvador. Ooh. I'm sorry. Weeks after Chandra's disappearance, he had been arrested for attacking a female jogger in the park.
The same park?
Uh-huh. In which he dragged her off the trail and held her at gunpoint. But that runner was able to get away and ran into the road to ask for help. He was then found in the park and arrested, and then another woman came forward that he had attacked her in the same way when she was jogging in the park. Wow. One thing You're Wrong About pointed out, which I thought was interesting, was that the jailhouse informant said this guy did it, right? Uh-huh. But the crimes that we know he did do against these 2 female joggers, those happened after Chandra's disappearance. And he didn't kill them. So it would have kind of made more sense if those would have happened before and it was like an escalation.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So it kind of makes it not credible right away, which I totally would have not thought that, but these are smarter people than me, obviously.
Wait, but okay. What if just the first one wasn't? What if it was just an accident? Like, oh shit. You know, like he didn't intend to kill her. So it's not necessarily like a case of escalation or de-escalation, just like, oh, fuck, and now I know better.
Right. That's true, actually, because we really don't know what happened with Chandra.
Yeah.
Ingmar tried to say that he had accidentally bumped into the woman and knocked her off the trail, the woman that he held at gunpoint. Then when police showed him a picture of Chandra, he said, that he had seen her running around the park because like she ran at that park, but he denied having anything to do with her disappearance. The informant, however, said that Ingmar had told him that Gary Condit paid him $25,000 to kill Chandra Levy. And they quickly ruled out the Gary story because Ingmar had already admitted to assaulting the other two women in the park, so it didn't make sense that he would like just happened to also get hired for pay at the same fucking park where he happened to be assaulting women. Like, what did Gary look up? Rock Creek Park assaulter for hire.
And it's like, buy one, get two free or something.
Yeah, like.
Also, where's the money?
Yeah, exactly. But Ingmar had skipped work on the day that Chandra disappeared.
Damn, they knew that from like a year before?
Mm-hmm. But Ingmar denied ever attacking her. He was given a polygraph test on November 28th, which he failed. And a second test came back inconclusive. However, he wasn't fluent in English, and both tests were administered in English.
Oh, well, yeah.
So this is bullshit, and we should not use this type of technology.
That's what I was going to say. To borrow a term from you, this is already a sketchy technology.
Right.
And then on top of everything, you're going to throw this fucking, wrench into it.
Yeah, which honestly, you know why they didn't have interpreters to administer the test? Because there were so many interpreters held up in DC at this time because of 9/11 that they couldn't get a Spanish. Yeah, I don't know why. Like,
interesting.
But they couldn't get a Spanish interpreter to administer his polygraph test. Meanwhile, Ingmar was convicted of the other two attacks at Rock Creek Park and sentenced to 10 years in prison. The Chandra case then went cold until 2006. The new DC police chief, Kathy Lanier, opened up the case and replaced all of the lead detectives and the investigators. Mm-hmm. In 2008, they searched Ingmar's prison cell and they found a picture of Chandra that he had cut and saved from a magazine article about the attacks.
That's fucking weird.
It's super weird. They started interviewing people who worked at the park as well as former cellmates of Ingmar's and obtained some information about him describing the killing of her in the park. Mm. On March 3rd, 2009, Ingmar was arrested and charged with Chandra's murder. He pled not guilty to kidnapping or first-degree murder among all the other charges. Mm-hmm. His trial started on October 18th, 2010, and his former cellmate, the jail informant, was a star witness. He testified that he had heard Ingmar confess to the murder and detail the kidnapping. Ingmar's lawyers brought in Gary to testify and asked him point blank if he had had a sexual relationship with Chandra, which he pled the fifth.
Why though?
I don't know, mate.
Who is advising this man? Like, if you're this man's lawyer, you have to say, all right, dude, just fess up. We know you didn't do it, so.
And I think the Washington Post article I read about it talked about how Gary's lies about the affair muddled this fucking investigation.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it makes it seem like he has something, like clearly he has something to hide, right?
Yeah.
The affair, but also what else? Like, I mean, if you're capable of trying to hide this, like what else are you capable of trying to hide?
Especially in the face of all the evidence that we have. Like, we have your semen, my dude. Like, and you're still trying to lie about it?
Right. You're number 7 on her speed dial, my guy.
Yes.
Like, you know, like she said, she's so fucking into you. She thinks you look like Harrison Ford.
And you do not.
Yeah. Like, let it go. Ugh. So ultimately, Ingmar was found guilty of the murder. The conviction was called a miracle because it was reached with like only circumstantial evidence and very little circumstantial evidence. Yeah. But we're talking about an undocumented person, an immigrant, a prior offender, you know, like there's lots of things not going in his favor. They were seeking the max sentence for Ingmar, citing his danger to women and several instances in which he had harassed female staff in prison, and he had even like masturbated in front of guards. Like, he was a sketchy dude.
He was a Jeffrey Toobin.
They also had information that he had originally fled the ES because of attacks against women dating back to the 90s.
Oh God, lock him
Yeah.
up. Oh, so is the max life?
Yes.
Okay.
He was given 60 years in prison, and at his sentencing, he addressed Chandra's parents and he told them he was very sorry for what happened to Chandra, but maintained that he did not do it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ingmar appealed and was granted a new trial as the jury had not been informed that the star witness was an informant. They only thought he was the former jailmate. They didn't know that
How
he was
did that
actually working
happen?
with the police. I don't know. And they had not been informed that this informant had been caught lying several times in other cases. In 2016, a neighbor of the informant produced a secret recording that she had made of this informant where he fucking confessed that he had perjured himself on the stand and it was not true.
Wow. Okay. So they have to the conviction, overturn it. Boom.
The prosecution had no choice but to drop all charges because they felt like they had very little evidence to go off of anyways.
Yeah.
And now the one thing they have is done. So they were like, there's no way to win this case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
Ingmar was then released, but immediately deported back to El Salvador on May 5th, 2017.
And I'm guessing that's the last we've heard of him.
That's the last we heard of him.
Yeah.
Chandra's father, Robert, later then apologized to Gary publicly. He said that at that time, in the beginning, he was just doing anything to point Gary as the villain because he was desperate for answers and wanted to keep this case in the public eye.
Yeah. And that motherfucker was lying.
Right. Chandra's parents have dedicated their time to helping missing persons foundations.
Oh.
Susan Levy, Chandra's mom, even helped in the efforts to find Lacey Peterson, which is another crazy story that we'll save for another day. Another crazy Modesto story too.
I thought we did that one, no?
No. I always watch stuff on Scott Peterson though, because that case is really weird to me, and yeah, I'd like to do a story on it. I just saw. Did you see on Netflix this thing called American Family Murder?
Yeah, I just watched it.
Yeah, it was. That one was weird because seemingly, I don't know. Like it was just weird to me. Like I don't really understand what the motive was for like the entire family annihilation.
Right. Yeah.
Because it didn't look like the affair he was having was like low key. Like it didn't look like him and that girl were like in love. Like it looked like they just started dating.
Yeah. And remember they asked her, the police were like, did you ever tell him?
Yeah.
Like,
and she's
we
like,
could
no.
be together if you just didn't have this family or whatever.
Yeah. And she's like, no. Like,
yeah.
It looked like those 5 weeks when she was gone was like the first time he really chilled with this girl. And then he just flipped and fucking killed her. Like, I don't know. That was super weird to me. And I wonder if he was on steroids because he was like...
Oh, no, because he wasn't like buff.
But he was all thin.
Yeah. You know what was creepy to me about that documentary was just the sheer amount of footage that we had. Because
of him.
Because she put her whole life on camera,
the internet, yeah.
And then we had like all the body cam, the police footage and stuff. I was like, that's fucking weird.
I was totally saying the same thing. Like this is an interesting take on like why body cam footage is actually great.
Yeah.
Because like we would not have had that in any other scenario, but like we had like the fucking instance, like the beginning of this whole fucking thing, you know?
Yeah.
All right, anyways, that's a whole nother thing. I don't know. I don't like that one. And then I got into a fucking hole on Wikipedia on family annihilation cases, and that was like a whole fucking thing. Anyways, okay, so there was a lot of criticism on the Chandra case from day one, obviously. Her parents quickly mobilized, and they did, honestly, all the right things. They reached out to missing persons foundations. They offered cash rewards. They hired their own private investigators, and they sought hella media attention.
Yeah, because her name and her picture was fucking everywhere.
But their efforts never led to anything, and they were completely overshadowed by the seedy story of the affair with Gary Condit.
Yeah.
Plus, the media attention led to what appeared to be almost too much pressure on police who were fucking fumbling the entire way through the investigation.
Yeah.
Her body wasn't found until over a year later due to the fact that officers were just fucking confused about the scope of the search for the body. Like, it didn't, like, that shit should not have happened. As for Gary Condit, His reputation never recovered from being linked to the case. He sued Vanity Fair and Dominique Dunn for libel and suggesting that he had ordered Chandra to be killed.
Did he win?
And Dunn paid an undisclosed amount to settle the lawsuit out of court.
Yo.
And then he sued Dunn again because like Dunn kind of like had it out for him.
Yeah. That sounds like him.
Yeah, and he ended up suing Dunn again after they settled, and then that one I think the judge just dismissed it.
Mm-hmm.
After the arrest of Ingmar, Condit's lawyer said that this was obviously vindication of Gary, but that it was way too late. His career was gone, and I think he said something famously like, "Who's going to give him his career back?"
Yeah.
Condit ran for re-election in 2001, but lost primary and left Congress at the end of his term in 2003. He moved to Arizona with his wife, where he opened 2 Baskin-Robbins franchises.
Ew, no, that's shady. Don't do that. That's fucking weird.
Which failed, and he's now a registered lobbyist.
Oh, that sounds about right.
And that's the story of Chandra Levy. It remains an unsolved murder.
God damn.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, I mean, I'm happy. That's weird to say, but I'm happy that at least we have the closure of like her family knows that she's gone.
She was
and
gone,
like,
right?
yeah,
Because the disappearances seem
terrible.
that, man.
Yeah. And I mean, there are unanswered questions, but I feel like, we kind of, we have a decent idea of what happened to her.
Yeah.
Unlike a Natalie Holloway, like that.
Oh no, that is like the worst case scenario, I think.
Don't just sit there, let's get to it. Speak your mind, there's nothing to it. Vote! And if you don't vote, you're gonna get a spanking.
So, I too have a story about a young lady that was gone too soon, and that was a major national scandal. Let's talk about one of the biggest scandals of the early 2000s, Terri Schiavo. This one I got a lot from Joan Didion's article, The Case of Teresa Schiavo, and also from the 50,000 Wikipedia articles on the topic. And also, like you, an episode of You're Wrong About.
Yeah.
We have all the same episodes as them, but
yeah,
we have different styles.
Yeah. Did somebody tell you one time, like, ours is like if your homegirl watched the news and they said it back to you?
Yeah,
that's what they do. They're the news, and we're the ones listening to them and just like saying it back to you.
We're there's that SNL character. It used to be that dude Bobby Moynihan, who would be like, you hear about that guy Dick Cheney? Like, I heard he shocked his friend. Yeah, that's us.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start off by telling you a little bit about Miss Terri Schiavo, born Teresa Marie Schindler on December 3rd, 1963, in the suburbs of Philadelphia to a very Catholic family. Shout out to my fellow Catholic December baby Terry.
What a month to be Catholic, December. I mean,
if you're gonna be Catholic, any month, either December or when is Semana
right?
Santa.
Yeah, April.
Yeah. Okay, my girl Terry was a big girl. Shout out to my fellow Catholic December baby, big girl Terry. Although we're big in different directions because I am tall and she was wide. Remember, the Terry's family is super Catholic because that's probably the most important thing going on, like in the background of this story.
Yeah.
Anyway, unfortunately, her bigness sort of spiraled out of control to obesity at a very young age. It seems like by her teens. She eventually ballooned to almost 250 pounds, and she was only about 5'3".
What do you do, like, now that we know that, like, overeating is really, like, back to mental health?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're a parent and you see those things starting to happen, do you, like, immediately take your kid into therapy?
Not immediately, but I would say, just make sure that they have, like, a healthy relationship around food. They're able to talk to you about their problems, or they have somebody to talk to about their problems.
Right.
And I think you try your best. I think, like, immediately putting them into therapy, they probably might think, like, oh shit, like, there's something wrong with me. Yeah. I think you try to be, like, as conservative as possible to try not to put as much pressure on them.
It's so, like, a sensitive thing, right? Like, like, you really got to tiptoe around that shit.
Yeah.
You really gotta walk on eggshells, but egg white shells, am I right? Because you don't want, also you can't be like, hey, you need to lose weight.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That causes other
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah. I always think about there was that episode of Real Housewives when Harry Hamlin was talking to their daughter, the one that has
An eating disorder?
yeah, and it was like he was putting pressure on her to eat, and she was like, I'm not fucking hungry. Like she just seemed like she was about to have a breakdown, like on camera. I was like, this is uncomfortable.
Right.
Anyway, another big, unfortunately, here is that unbeknownst to anyone, she developed a pretty serious case of bulimia in pursuit of her weight loss. She did eventually lose about 100 pounds starting in her late teens and into her early 20s.
Holy shit, dude.
Primarily using Nutrisystem, shout out to Nutrisystem, and meal replacement shakes. I went on their website to look at it. I was like, oh, damn.
That's so weird of that era, like the meal replacement type thing. Because we really don't see that often now.
Because it's not good.
No, it's so
not
bad
healthy.
for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so unrealistic to maintain that.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
with any kind of social life or romantic social life, like
right. You can't take
let's
your
go on a
Nutrisystem.
date and let me eat this shake. Like
you both have like champagne. You put the shakes in champagne flutes,
that's
and then
disgusting.
like you both like drink them. So anyway, she did lose the weight, but at what cost?
Right, and how? Yeah.
Right, and it turns out we're about to find out. And that's the thing about weight loss, man. We're so obsessed with being thin in our society that like, and often under the guise of health and fitness.
No, I bet you feel like shit on that plan.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That shit is not healthy.
No.
You know, and it's like, how much we weigh has so much less to do with our health than what we've been led to believe, like over the last 40 years or so, where it's like, you got to be skinny to be healthy. No, you fucking don't.
No.
And there's skinny people who are unhealthy, but we don't talk about that,
Right.
you know, or we don't want to see it, you know.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, just do your best, everyone. Try to incorporate as much fresh food as you can in a good variety
for a number of reasons. Like like weight is like you're saying, like basically weight is like the least of like the like important in terms of hierarchy for like why you should be eating fresh fruits and vegetables. But like we know that food is linked to cancer fighting, like you know, it just makes you feel better.
Exactly. For your mental health,
you're gonna poop better.
You're gonna have more energy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh fuck
yeah. Eat as best as you can. Get moving as much as even if it's just like 10-15 minutes a day.
Every once in a while, look up the menu on Taco Bell and be like, oh damn, looks like it's not worth it.
Exactly,
but it looks good.
It's it's not rocket science. What is rocket science though is learning to love your body in spite of like all this bullshit that we're fed from the time we're fucking 5-6 years old, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But I digress. Let me get off my soapbox.
Yeah, no, I hate that shit too, especially like as somebody who's struggled with like being slightly overweight or chubby or whatever. Like it always bothers me because I'm healthy.
Yeah. And if we could just normalize being healthy, like regardless of what that looks like, and being and loving. That's why I love Lizzo, dude. Like just like loving yourself. We'd all be in a lot better shape, no pun intended. Anyway, so what's sad is that we don't really know a whole lot about Terri aside from the fact that she was a big girl at some point. And even that was something I wasn't super aware of before I started the research for this. The other main thing that we know about Terri is that she had a man named Michael.
Been there.
In 1982, Terri and Michael met as college students at Bucks County Community, and they fell in love.
Damn.
I'm a big fan of Michael, by the way. So if you don't know anything about this story, not to spoil it, but it's safe to let your guard down. And if you're like me and immediately become suspicious of a man when he enters a story,
like Gary Condit,
yeah, exactly. Like, don't worry. It's fine. So Terri and Michael are just two crazy kids in love, and he's her first kiss, and They get married in November of 1984 when Terry's just 21 years old.
That's crazy.
And she married her first kiss, dude.
That's fucking crazy, man.
And despite being so young, both families are really happy for them. In particular, Terry's family, the Schindlers, who fucking love Michael. And Michael quickly becomes a member of their family, and they're super close. Everything's going great. Like, they're so close that when the Schindlers moved to Florida in 1986, Terry and Michael straight up moved to Florida too to stay close with them. So in Florida, they start setting up roots. Terry works in insurance and Michael works as a restaurant manager. Truly the most normal of normal shit.
Yeah.
My girl Terry keeps losing more and more weight, so she's feeling herself. They're in Florida now, so she gets to wear bikinis and is actually pretty confident in them. And I mean, like, why wouldn't you be? It seems like you've got that burden of weight off your back, which was a huge issue for you before. You've got a husband that loves you and you guys are happy and shit. It's lit.
Yeah.
The only thing is we can't ignore what's happening in the background, which is her continued disordered eating. We know that she was bulimic, but let's throw something else into the mix now. She pretty much has herself on mostly a liquid diet.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that fucking diet doesn't teach you how to eat, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So she's, she likes her weight loss shakes. And besides that, she drinks up to 15 glasses of iced tea a day.
May.
Yeah.
Oh my
just
God.
Like chugging iced tea.
Yo, iced tea's bomb though, but not.
I love an iced tea. I love an Arnold
lemon?
Palmer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Girl.
Oh. So Terry with the OG nothing tastes as good as skinny feels.
Girl, don't lie. Don't lie to these people, man.
Which, by the way, Kate Moss, clearly you've never had Guatemalan tamales.
I was gonna
if
say
you had,
I was gonna say, man, you and I both ate tamales.
hey, yeah, exactly. If Kate Moss had them, like, she would have never said that stupid shit ever.
Oh.
Anyway, Terry is absolutely wrecking her body, but she's happy, which is like, ugh.
Oh.
So that's when the Schiavos decide that they want to keep riding this wave, and they decide that they want to expand their family. Time to have a baby. But it turns out that it's not as easy as they would have hoped, most likely because of Terry's disordered eating.
Right.
She'd stopped menstruating at some point, so she went to her obstetrician to figure out if the fact that she wasn't getting pregnant had something to do with this. But it seems like that's as far as looking into her infertility went. I mean to say, no one, including her OB, was getting antsy yet. They're not like balls deep testing her. They literally don't even do a blood test. They're not looking at options, IVF or adoption or whatever. They're just like, all right, like, keep trying. Not everyone gets pregnant within the first 5 minutes. So at around 4:30 a.m. on the morning of February 25th, 1990, 26-year-old Terry collapses. Michael was in bed when he hears the thud and realizes that Terry wasn't in bed next to him, so he gets up and he finds her face down in the hallway of their apartment, unresponsive. So he immediately calls 911. He also calls Terry's brother, who lives in the same building as them. Again, that's how close this fucking family was.
Right.
The paramedics get there within a few minutes, but meanwhile, Terry stopped breathing and there is no pulse. But she was successfully resuscitated on the way to the hospital, where they determined that she'd collapsed because she'd gone into cardiac arrest.
I'm sorry, May. How old is she?
26.
Okay. And she lost the weight in like her early 20s?
She lost the weight like before she met Michael. So
and they
she
got married at 21.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she lost the weight like at 19, 20.
So she's had this like weird diet since at least her teens.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So it was quickly determined that Terry had hypokalemia, which means low potassium. And she had about half of what you'd expect for a normal person.
Dude,
And
that's crazy.
low potassium is dangerous because
Super dangerous.
in scientific terms, it fucks with your heart. And as the Black Eyed Peas would say, no, don't funk with my heart.
Yeah.
Anyway, low potassium levels and other electrolyte imbalances are a side effect of hyperhydration, which is bound to happen when you're drinking 15 iced teas and hella weight loss shakes per day.
Wow.
So poor Terry had a bad heart.
I feel like that's always like the first thing they check on my grandma, her potassium.
Her potassium?
Yeah, like whenever we've gone to the doctor and they do blood work, that's always like one of the first things they look at.
It's the most basic when you get a comparative blood panel. Like it's like just one of the only things that they're really looking at.
One time they had like she did have like slightly low potassium and they gave her a pill and my grandma said it tasted like banana and I was like, "No, like that, shut up."
So unfortunately, due to the time she'd gone without oxygen, she'd suffered massive brain damage and fell into a coma, which after 2.5 months, it became clear was now a persistent vegetative state.
Oh my gosh.
And soon after, the court appointed Michael as her legal guardian. Again, she was not in a coma. She was in a persistent vegetative state. A coma, just to simplify it, think of it as you're just unconscious. A persistent vegetative state means that all electrical activity is gone. There is no thinking, no feeling, no hearing, no senses at all. You're gone, period. Your brainstem still works so you can breathe, your organs work, but that's it. You are existing, if we're being real, but you're not living. You are alive in the way that a plant is alive.
You're a body.
Yeah, exactly. Your body is alive, but like you
are
and
gone.
Everything that makes you is just not there anymore. Like,
Can I ask you something, mate? Like, so the way that it happened, it was a cardiac episode?
Cardiac arrest. So her heart just stopped.
And that like there was seemingly no like nothing leading up to that. I mean, obviously, like we know, like she had this crazy diet, but right. Her husband or nobody could see anything.
No idea.
Really,
there was nothing leading up to that.
So she had like a seemingly normal day with her man's, and he just woke up and found her like that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's fucking terrible.
Yeah. So Terry's gone, and that shouldn't be controversial, nor should it be up for debate, honestly.
No, it's science.
But listen, we're human beings, and it's easy for me to say that unequivocally and frankly coldly because it's not my daughter, it's not my loved one that's in that position. I get that it's complicated when you're actually living it, and you know, I don't want to give too much away in the interest of their privacy, but I have a little bit of experience dealing with people in persistent vegetative states, and it's absolutely one of the darkest things that I've ever been around.
Right.
And it's really because of the families, and like the one that I'm specifically thinking of, the patient suffered an injury like as a young child. And when I met them, they'd been in the persistent vegetative state for like over 20 years.
What?
Yeah, which is actually really, really rare.
I was going to say.
You usually like these patients will die within 6 months of their injury from complications from the injury.
Right.
But if they survive those 6 months, they'll usually die within like 2 to 5 years.
Yeah, because your muscles just go to shit. Your brain goes to shit.
Exactly. You're wasting away. Wasting away. So like for the ones that survive 10 plus years, that's like pretty rare.
Yeah.
So like this patient, the family would walk into a room and then the patient would like smile or something. But those are just reflexes. It's like you don't feel anything. You're not recognizing that a person just walked into a room. It's just like an electrical snap that happens in your body 1,000,000 times a day. And it just so happened that it happened like when you walked into the room. So it's like the family is seeing things that they
see what they want to see.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, it's really sad. They put this kid through school. Like I saw pictures of them like in the wheelchair going through school, and that's like super dark to me. Like
that is really dark.
That you're projecting feelings and emotions onto someone that's just not there, and it's just it was weird. My heart like broke for these people, and it's really weird for you as like a third party because now you have to treat this person as if they're there,
right?
Which, you know, for like because you want to show these people compassion. You're not going to be like, well, like
oh fuck you guys,
no. Exactly. And now like you feel some type of way because you're like, this is fucking weird, you know?
Yeah, like everybody's so fragile, and like you're not about to just break them.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that the road to acceptance needs to happen overnight. And in Terry's case, her family spent damn near 3 years doing absolutely everything in their power to fight for her. We're talking experimental treatments, like an implant in her brain to stimulate her nerves, speech and occupational therapy, everything in hopes of a miracle. All the while, Michael and the Schindlers are united and as close as ever. Michael has even moved in with them rent-free.
Wow.
And this man, let me tell you about this man. What a man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good man.
Yeah.
So Michael fucking loved Terri, and he knew that she was someone that cared a lot about her appearance. So he would take her in a wheelchair to the hair salon to make sure that she looked her best. He made audio recordings of all of Terry's loved ones talking to her and put them on a Walkman for her to listen to.
Aww.
This psychopath even literally went to nursing school and became a nurse so that he could better take care of her and make sure that she was getting the best care at her long-term care facility where she lived.
And he's like a nurse. Like he's still a nurse now,
yeah,
right?
He's a nurse, yeah.
It's so wild.
So he was so involved with her care, over involved actually, to the point where the facility had to file a restraining order so that he would back off and like not visit her like so much. And yeah, so he was all in, dude. Like this man said that he made a vow and like that was that.
Yeah.
The Schindlers were even like, dude, move on. Like she's not coming back. You're young. Get back out there.
Yeah, seriously. That would be so hard to watch.
I know. Yeah.
Especially somebody young, because you're like, you don't want to be alone for the rest of your life. Like you're way too young.
Yeah. They were 26 when that happened.
Yeah.
Like, so he did actually bring a girl by to get their blessing because this is still his family, you know?
Yeah.
And just FYI, that relationship didn't work out. But anyway, next up is when things start to take a turn. In 1992, Michael sues Terry's obstetrician for malpractice. Because had the doctor done a basic blood test, they would have clocked the potassium problem.
How the fuck did they not do that?
No idea.
That's like the first thing they do.
It seems like they were just like,
because she's
you'll
so
be
young.
fine. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then, so they're like, she's healthy.
Right, exactly. And one of Terry's friends testified that she knew that Terry was bulimic. So it's like, this patient had an extreme weight loss. At least preliminary fertility difficulty, you do the blood test, it reveals the potassium deficiency, you say, oh shit, and
eat some bananas.
Ask about the disordered eating because vomiting might lower your potassium levels. You put her on potassium, send her to the cardiologist. Maybe this whole thing could have been avoided. And the jury awarded Michael $6.8 million. Although it was later reduced to $2 million because Terry was considered to be partly responsible for her own condition.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because, I mean, like...
Yeah, she was sick.
She did it to herself, right. I guess, is the thinking. So, after attorney's fees and whatnot, Michael got...
Sue Nutrisystem.
I was going to say, how is Nutrisystem not partially responsible? I'm sure, like, there's something that you sign when you... Yeah. So, Michael got $300,000 and put $750,000 in a trust for Terry's medical care for the rest of her life. And that money came just in time, too, because they were doing, like, fucking car washes and bake sales and shit to raise money to take care of Terry.
Wow.
But according to Michael, the Schindlers were salty that they didn't get a piece of this money.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. And the Schindlers claim, no, Michael got his money and didn't give a fuck about Terry anymore. And he wanted to wash his hands of her and bounce. One thing led to another. And Michael got into a fist fight with Terry's dad.
Oh, no.
And that was the last time Michael and the Schindlers spoke to this day.
Oh, no.
Because of fucking...
Money,
yeah.
Dude, money is...
Yeah. Okay. Then, in 1993, Terry got a pretty bad urinary tract infection. And when you're in a persistent vegetative state, this is the type of thing that kills you. You will get some sort of infection. It will spread. You will go septic, or you'll get pneumonia or something and die. So Michael, after consulting with Terry's team of doctors, says, you know what? I do not want Terry resuscitated should things get that dire. In other words, Michael requested a DNR, a do not resuscitate order.
In the state now?
3 years.
Okay.
So remember, it's been like 3 years and most people die within 5.
Right.
So really what her medical team is saying is that the most humane thing to do is let nature run its course, No need to prolong this more than necessary, and Michael agrees. But you know who doesn't agree? The Schindlers.
Of course.
And they petition the hospital to convince Michael to consent to treat the infection. And Michael just like sort of throws up his hands and he's like, all right, whatever. Like, it's fine. But then the Schindlers sue Michael to get him removed as her legal guardian.
Wow.
And we now have the first big lawsuit between the two parties. The case goes through the court system for like 2 years until the judge finally throws it out because the law is pretty clear. I should say at least in Florida, because I don't know if it's the same everywhere. But unless you have a living will that says otherwise, your legal guardian in the event that you're incapacitated is your spouse.
Right.
Like there's no wiggle room here. So the judge was like, the fuck is this lawsuit? Get this shit out of here.
Right.
He dicho caso cerrado. Also around this time, Michael starts dating this sweetheart named Jody. Jody totally gets Michael and his situation and that he loves Terri and is devoted to Terri until the bitter end. And guess what? Like the goddamn angel that she is, Jody loves Terri too.
Oh my God. I'm going to cry.
Like she'll go and spend time with Terri and she'll make clothes for her and do her makeup and shit.
Oh my God, May.
It makes me so happy for Michael because this is exactly
that's what he deserves.
It's what he deserves, and it's like the type of to get so lucky to meet this kind of partner that just understands that. Like, oh my God,
yeah, because somebody else would be petty and jealous and
exactly.
Yeah.
So shout out to Jody, you fucking saint. They eventually move in together and have 2 babies, which I love. So. Then a couple more years go by, and in 1998, Michael filed a petition to have Terri's feeding tube removed. And then the Schindlers are like, oh, hell no. And they sue Michael because they say that to do so, meaning like to take away the feeding tube, would have been against Terri's wishes. But Michael is like, you know what? I'm ready for this to be settled. I won't do this back and forth thing in the courts. And he got the court to appoint a temporary neutral third-party guardian, basically a conservator, to investigate and review the case with Terri's doctor and make a recommendation to the court.
God damn.
So he's like, I'm going to take myself out of it. Like, whatever the neutral third party says is best, I'm willing to do that. I'm just not going to do this anymore.
Right.
And the conservator said, yep, it's true. Terri's gone. She isn't coming back. Her brain has literally mostly been replaced by spinal fluid.
Oh, wow.
However, I don't think that Michael can make the end of life decisions for her because of the conflict of interest of him inheriting her estate when she dies.
Oh, interesting. Which would be the money that was saved for her in trust for medical treatment?
Yeah, exactly. However, he also said if Michael divorces Terri, which is what the Schindlers want at this point,
well, then they'll take over.
Exactly. So they would have the same conflict of interest because they would then be the ones who inherit her estate.
Right.
So the conservator didn't do shit.
Yeah, what a bitch. I would have been so pissed.
Right. And actually, it makes no fucking sense because then who can make those decisions and not have a conflict of interest?
Right.
Your fucking boss, your neighbor, your third grade teacher. Like, the fuck? Oh, okay. So here's the thing about the law, which makes me feel a little ridiculous because I'm about to explain the law to my attorney, but whatever.
Hey, man.
Okay.
You probably know as much as me. I'm Lionel Hutz.
Attorney at law.
Attorney at law. Put my business card in water and it turns into a sponge.
Okay, so right to die laws. And again, I can only speak for Florida, although
California is probably about the same.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say it could be like this everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone has the right to refuse medical care.
Yep, patients' rights, including food and water.
But if you're incapacitated and you don't have a living will, your guardian has to act in accordance with what would be your end of life wishes.
Right.
So it's like if it's unknown, they can't just be like, well, I'm the one that makes the decision, so the decision is this. Like it has to be, they have to prove like with some sort of evidence, especially if it ends up like this in court, they have to provide some sort of evidence as to what your wishes would have been.
Right. Which is impossible, by the way.
Right.
I mean, like, unless you're like somebody who's really sitting down and having those kinds of conversations, which fucking 24, 26, you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the evidence was pretty slim in this case because at best, all we have are the offhand comments she made to witnesses, which you can sort of take with a grain of salt because it's like what you're saying, like when you're young, you're not necessarily thinking about these things. And like the offhand comments are like Michael's grandma or something was sick and she said around his family when they were like at his grandma's bedside, like, oh, don't let that be me or something. Like, you know, just one of those things that people fucking say.
Yeah.
Anyway, and the Schindlers couldn't really provide evidence for their argument either, aside from saying that they were Catholics and that the church is against euthanasia. But there's really no evidence that Terri was as religious as they were.
Right.
So that doesn't get to the root of what Terri would want.
Right.
So the judge rules that Michael can have the tube removed. Basically, that he'd know best.
And that's great.
And the Schindlers immediately appeal, and then their lawyers file hella motions and shit to stall to ensure that this gets tied up in court for as long as possible, which is basically a win for them. You know what I mean? Like,
right. That's definitely a fucking game plan.
Exactly. Because the point
I've done that before, my dude.
Stop.
Yeah.
Because the point is to get to maintain the status quo, right?
Right.
And
she's alive.
Right. And by tying it up in court, that's exactly what you're doing.
How much money are they spending on this shit?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Why? Like, for what?
Which is like, this is probably the point where I should say, like, I don't want to make them out to be the villains here because
right. And we got to remember they're Catholic, like how you were saying.
Exactly. Like they're doing this because they love their daughter and they think that this is what God would want. And, you know.
But doesn't a little part of you just think that they're doing it to get at Michael?
Yeah, a little part.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Because, yeah, if he divorces her like they want, maybe they get their daughter, they get the control, and they get the money if they choose to, enforce that control or whatever.
Right. I guess that's like, you could see kind of both ways in that sense, right?
Right. Well, I don't think they're bad people. I pity them.
I do. I feel bad. That's fucked up.
Because I
hope this happens to nobody I know and nobody who I know that they know.
Exactly. Because I think they're blind, and I think that that's preventing them from making what I'm sure is a difficult choice, but I'm even more sure is the right choice.
Right.
So these court battles go on and on and on in the courts, with Michael getting a ruling and then the Schindlers appealing. Then the Schindlers trying a different strategy, Michael winning, they appeal, and we do the whole thing over and over and over again. Meanwhile, it's clear that the court is getting annoyed with the Schindlers because each ruling is like, come on, guys, like, how many times are we going to do this?
And it's always for Michael, right?
It's always for Michael. And the judge is like, it starts off very like, I mean, and it's never, the judge is never like, fuck you guys, but like, it's
because like how you're saying, like you want to show empathy. And,
right.
Yeah.
But then by the end, it like the judge is pretty clear, like, we know what you're doing.
Right. And they're just congesting the courts, and that's fucked up for other reasons.
Yeah.
That's very selfish use of legal.
Right.
Of legal law.
Of the la of blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
So the year is now 2003, and we've basically been in court since 1993.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But the thing about 2003 is that Terri's case kind of catches the eye of conservative pro-lifers on the religious right. Thank you, George W. Bush.
Mm-hmm.
And they figure they can use Terri and the Schindlers to advance their own fucking agenda. So they use their influence to turn what had up until this point been a private matter with literally zero press coverage into a huge national news story and scandal, and they pay the Schindlers legal fees to keep up this fight in the courts to its ultimate conclusion.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I remember hearing this like on the radio on the way to school every day.
Yeah,
like
it was
my
huge.
mom would have it on the radio like every fucking morning before she would drop me off at school.
And what kind of this is nobody's fucking business. This is very private matter. Like, I feel like these are the monsters in this story. Like,
exploiting them.
Exactly. For something that doesn't even have anything to do, like, it's ultimately about the babies. Yeah,
right.
a quote unquote baby. It's about abortion is what this is like getting to the root of.
Right.
Like, Okay. So I'm guessing like they wanted to take this fight up like to the Supreme Court if need be to like set national law.
Right.
They demonize Michael, implying that he might have had a hand in her initial accident.
Oh no!
This was like a big Fox News like talking point. Like, oh, we don't know. Like maybe he didn't call 911 right away or some shit. They don't like that Michael melted down Terry's engagement ring, but it's because he used it to make himself a ring so that he could always have a piece of her with him always. I love him.
Yeah.
By the way, there's basically no money left in the trust. So the idea that Michael wants her dead for the money is idiotic.
Really?
Well, because she's lived much longer than anyone would have expected.
Yeah.
Can you sue again in that case or no?
No.
What you got is what you got? That fucking
Yeah.
sucks. Oh, okay. So they change the narrative on Terri and say that she's not in a persistent vegetative state or even in a coma, but that she's cognitively impaired.
Oh, conscious uncoupling. Okay.
That she has something like Down syndrome.
And interesting.
And you guys want to kill her because she's impaired?
Oh, and now we're killing her.
Yeah, exactly. And then like, what's next? Like, are we going to do that to the babies? And like,
oh my God.
Yeah. So Michael and Jody start getting death threats. It's fucking gross. Because this is now one of the biggest stories in the country, the Pope had to weigh in.
Oh, what Pope was
Pope
this?
JP2. Yeah.
Damn.
So Pope John Paul II showed up and was like, we got to keep her alive.
Oh, damn it, JP2.
Yeah. The governor of Florida, Jeb, please clap Bush, was getting was getting all fucked up because he got almost 30,000 letters from around the country talking about save Terri, you got to do something. Finally, a judge is like, enough, Michael, do what you gotta do. And Michael removes Terry's feeding tube.
Good. What year was that?
This is in 2003.
Okay.
The Schindlers exhaust their final appeal within the week, and then the Florida state legislature called an emergency session and passed Terry's law, allowing...
What?
This is some major bullshit. Listen to this. So this law allows the governor to overturn a court ruling and order a feeding tube reinserted when there's no living will and there's family conflict. And that's exactly what Jeb Bush fucking did.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
Why do you want to do this? Why would you do this to this family?
Exactly.
And they're suffering. Like, you're a piece of shit, honestly.
Yeah. Why insert yourself? Because now you're inserting yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. Then the ACLU started representing Michael. God bless the motherfucking ACLU, baby.
I don't have any other ones. Sorry.
So in 2004, the ACLU challenged Terry's law in court, and it was immediately struck down.
Yeah, what kind of bullshit was that?
That shit is unconstitutional.
Florida is the fucking, it's the wild out there.
There's, of course, an appeal, and finally in 2004, the Florida Supreme Court is like, bruh, this shit is unconstitutional.
Yeah.
The Schindlers spend the next several months doing their thing, filing emergency injunctions, dragging this out. You know the drill. But out comes the feeding tube on March 18th, 2005, and protests break out. So, like, outside of where they have Terri, like, at her hospice and stuff, there's, people on both sides just, like, save Terri, like, let Terri go, whatever.
Oh, no.
Then something crazy happens. The United States Congress gets involved, and the House passes a bill that George W. Bush signs into law.
Oh, God.
That weirdly only applies to Terri. I didn't know that was a thing. That you could have a law that only applies to one person. But anyway. So basically that law stripped Michael of his rights to make end-of-life decisions for her. But the Florida courts were like, what? No, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. So then Jeb Bush was like, Terri Schiavo's being abused. Yeah, that's a ticket, abused. With no, like...
Yeah, like, by who? What are you talking about, bro? Like,
yeah, out of nowhere. Just like, he's like just spinning his fucking wheels. Yeah, so then he sends in the cops to remove her from the hospice and replace the feeding tube.
What?
But the courts were like, no, you absolutely will the fuck not do that. And then
Good.
and then Jeb got scared and was like, okay,
Yeah.
please clap. And finally, Terri Schiavo died 13 days after her feeding tube was removed on March 31st, 2005, 15 years after she went into cardiac arrest.
Oh my God.
In all, there were 30 legal rulings in this case, and interestingly, they were all in favor of Michael.
That's insane. Like,
Yeah.
that's fucking unheard of.
Right. Which is like, I mean, it sucks that it had to go on for this long, but...
Oh, yeah.
God.
The fucking persistence of that family is wild.
Yeah. But then also they had those people paying them.
Later,
essentially.
Yeah.
The Schindlers and Michael had separate funerals for Terri
Oh.
because, of course, they're not on speaking terms. The autopsy, by the way, confirmed that her brain was non-functional. It literally shrunk by half.
Say, at that point, is it like even?
It was literally spinal fluid. Nothing was there, you know? So it's like, and remember there was like propaganda, like circa 2003, 2004 on TV. We'd see videos of Terri like following a balloon that was in a room with her eyes. But no, it was like Michael says that they took hours and hours and hours, like 8 hours of footage to condense it into like 4 minutes of usable footage to show her supposedly reacting to stimuli. But
oh my God.
So Terri's gravestone reads, "Beloved wife, born December 3rd, 1963, departed this earth February 25th, 1990, at peace March 31st, 2005. I kept my promise."
Oh no.
My sweet, beautiful Michael and Jody got married.
Oh.
And Michael uses he used his melted down ring, and he used it as a second ring to put on Jody to symbolize the love they both had for Terri.
Oh my God.
Isn't that adorable?
Yeah.
So that's Terri's story. And I just want to say that I think it's really important, no matter how young you are, no matter how invincible you think you are, to make sure that people know your feelings about stuff like this.
Yeah.
Put it on paper if you can. File an advance directive or living will. This is the sort of thing that obviously can tear families apart and can leave you in a position that you'd never choose for yourself, and it all can be avoided.
Yeah, seriously.
And I know these conversations can be awkward to have sometimes, especially I'll say like in Latin American families, like
But we don't talk about that kind of shit.
right, especially the older generations, like they do not want to have these conversations, and they're so important. Just fucking do it.
Yeah, seriously. Because the saddest thing is that Terri's story isn't even really about Terri.
Exactly.
It's about like her parents and
Yeah.
I don't know. It just became like a controversial thing. and
With people like projecting their own shit onto them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
Fucking sucks. I know Steph knows what I'd want, but let me go on record and say, pull the fucking plug. I do not give a damn. Literally, if I'm in a coma and they're like, and they say you can make a full recovery. Yeah, if they're like, she's gonna make a full recovery, but she's gonna have chin acne. Pull the fucking plug.
Shut up.
Not my face. I want to emerge hotter than before or not at all.
You're so stupid. I would not want to be that way. Like I would want whatever that peace for my own body to reach whatever the rest of my mind is, wherever that may be. Mm-hmm. But also I would just want that peace for my family, for my friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wouldn't want, I can imagine like thinking like, oh, Howell's going to come visit me at the hospital every day and not move on with his life. Like I would want him to move on.
And like, when do you get to mourn for that person? Like
exactly. Yeah. What an awful, weird middle.
Yeah. That shit is not fucking healthy. And then there was like a weird part where
there's gonna be somebody that's like, don't put the plug on me. I'll be like, yo.
There's like this weird thing where like in one of the early trials, or like not trials but court appearances, where Michael's attorney asks the Schindlers like, you know, if we're talking worst case scenario, like if she lost all of her limbs, and like, would you still want to maintain the feeding tube and maintain her artificially alive? And they're like, of course. Like,
Oh my
so it's like,
gosh.
to what extent, like, are you willing to put,
Yeah.
like
Like
have her?
project your stuff onto
Yes,
her.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then she's just having less and less dignity, and it's like
Yeah.
all you can ask for in death is dignity, and like you're taking that away
Seriously.
from her.
I know. It's
Yeah.
fucked up.
It's sad.
Super interesting though.
Yeah. Shout out to the podcast You're Wrong About for
Seriously.
basically doing our podcast for us this week.
Hit us up on Instagram and Twitter at Drama Club Pod, on the website dramaclubpod.com.
On the hotline 505-539-0556, at our PO Box number 27433 LACA 90027. Leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll talk to you on Thursday with a brand new Afternoon Delight episode.
Bye.
Bye.
However, whatever with your however.